Good afternoon, people of the web. This is Jason Wydrow, your host of OnlineStrategyPodcast.com. In case you don't know, it's October 21st, 2013. Today, I have some information for you that will be helpful. So, the topic of this podcast is online presence. Online presence. Back when I started building websites in the 90s, online presence as a word didn't really exist. The question was, well, did they have a website? What's the website address? That was the question. There wasn't, in other words, there weren't all different types, not near as many as there are today, outlets and mediums for promoting your website and networking with potential customers. The web has evolved into, the internet and the web has evolved into such a social platform. It's almost as if you're walking down a busy street with cars driving by and stores lined up left and right on every corner, and people walking by everywhere, just like you would on a busy street. But the internet has essentially become that to a large degree. For example, social networks. Of course, they became very popular over the past few years, but they were very popular. MySpace was huge, for a social network. When that came into the scene, that was a huge deal. And social networks changed the way that business is done online. Now, social networks don't work for every company. They aren't suitable for every type of business or every product. Just like some stores and some services aren't suitable for specific types of locations. Like, for example, you might not have a hunting store with hunting equipment in the middle of New York City. Well, you might, but it's not likely going to be, in Times Square, somewhere in a very, popular location like that where there's really no forest around. So that's all I mean by some businesses aren't really suitable for certain types of environments. So online presence. Online presence is how you take your product, your service, or whatever it is that you do using the internet and establishing a presence. Okay? That presence can be joint between multiple websites, multiple and many social networks, different advertising platforms, and anything else really, any other strategy, whether it be at the footer of your email, having a sales pitch or whatever. And obviously this all falls under the umbrella of marketing. But the important point of this podcast is that your online presence is the way that your product or service is represented. And of course, consistency in design and aesthetics, meaning, beautiful. It's beautiful and it's artistic some way and it attracts attention. That is all very positive, for your business, obviously. And you know this from being a website owner and having some success online, that's a prominent and important factor. And again, not all businesses require that type of presentation, that type of online presence. Anyway, I'm not going to get too much into what's right for what type of businesses, but I just want to reemphasize this online presence. So, what's important is that consistency is important. Keeping some type of consistency across your online presence is very important. Keeping the message consistent between all your different platforms. Keeping everything integrated is also very important. And when I say integrated, I'm referring to, several different ways of integration. Meaning that the content that you might be putting on your social networks and other places, whether it be images or posts or Twitter, tweets, whatever it might be that you're putting out there, that they are coherent and consistent with your business, your product, your service. Whether it's a nonprofit or an actual service, whatever it is that you do, it needs to be consistent and coherent to some level. And of course, we all like to hear other cool things sometimes that aren't exactly consistent with it, but if it relates to your customers in some way, or relates to your interactors, I'll call them interactors, those that interact with your content or social content, then it is valuable to you. But anyway, going back to the 90s, let's say, when I jumped into the internet boat, the online presence was like just a website. If you had a website, it was a big deal at one point. It was a very big deal. Even though the internet is an old thing, having a website in the 90s was a pretty big deal, especially like the mid-90s. Early mid-90s was a pretty big deal. And but online presence has become so sophisticated that a website by itself isn't it anymore. It's a combination and a culmination of all these different elements that you integrate into your website that help your visitors and consumers interact with your product and service and understand your company and get a feel of what it is that you really do and are trying to achieve. So that is really what online presence has come to. And, for most of us, of course we go to the local store, we buy something, we go shopping once in a while at different places, but based on some survey I did not too long ago, I found that almost every, I would say, and these are random people that I talked to, 80% of the people that I spoke with, and again, it was like demographic, certain age ranges, different age ranges, all different types of things, right? And I got a consistent message that the internet is a popular place. And this is nothing new. I'm like repeating fact. We all know this. It's a very popular place. The expectations are high. The service expectations are high. The delivery expectations are high. There's a cautionary factor involved in, purchasing things online that consumers, think about. So there's all these like things that come in, but defining yourself well in your online presence across all your mediums of presenting your company or your service, your product is very important. And it is, yesteryear, years and years ago, before the internet became a household thing, storefronts, were it, going into the mall and walking around for an entire day and going shopping that was what you did. Back in the 80s, that was basically what you did. You go shopping, you went to the mall, walk around, you go to the indoor, outdoor mall, whatever it is, but you just go shopping and you buy stuff. Or you go to the local store and you buy it. I mean, it was all like travel, but it was, these stores had presences and they had, their own presence, and I'll call them a physical presence, not an online presence, but it's basically the same thing. How easy it is to find you. How easy is it to find your service and product? Ask that question. Are you a local product? Are you a local company only? Do you ship? Do you ship your products to other places? All these basic details that you think about and are pretty much common sense, but they apply just as they did to the stationary business, the physical business location presence as to the online business presence. So, and I know I've gone over this example a couple times in different ways, but think of your physical presence and your online presence. If you had a physical location and somebody walked into your physical location, what is it that they would see immediately? What is it that they would be directed toward? How would things be positioned in your store as to make the visit comfortable and easy and simple? How would support interact with your online presence? How easy is it to contact your support and have someone ask you a question if they need help finding something or some other technical question or some type of question? So think of, you walk into a store and you have someone that might come up to you and say, "Excuse me, sir, would you like some help?" Now, when you go onto a website, some websites, you do get the convenience factor of that. And that, is very helpful, particularly for the business, small, medium-sized business owner who's just needs things done. They need answers right away. There's not a lot of time, to be running around a store looking for somebody. So I'm using that as an analogy, but think of that presence and that expectation of the service and support and help that you would get, and that kind of defines your online presence and the scope of what online presence really is and what it means to a potential customer, existing customer, or whatever it may be that you're trying to achieve with that individual. So anyway, it was a interesting topic, and I had to talk about it. Online presence in relation, to physical presence and the relationship and how similar they really are. But we've taken technology and we've taken the physical location out and put everything onto the internet. That changes the game, but the underlying things don't really change too much. So that's what I've observed. So thank you for listening. I hope it was helpful or useful to some level. I will see you next time. Be well.